on that. All right, let's do this. There we are. Welcome back, everybody. Hxro Labs Live, episode 11. Nick's back.
I'm back. Hello.
Good to see you, Nick.
Hey, likewise.
How you doing today?
Really good. The markets are actually volatile, so it's worth spending some time in front of the screens. We got Uniswap bumping. We got the S&P sitting at resistance. You got gold sitting at resistance as well, above all-time highs. Silver's hit our target. Yeah, lots to dive into today.
Beautiful. Well, let's. We're also going to be talking about Uniswap today and how it is shaking up the Ethereum network.
Yeah, it's really
huge
stress
volume.
Testing it, really.
Yeah, a huge volume coming in on some Uniswap pairs. And for those of you who don't know what that is, we'll do a very light take on what it is because neither of us are really sort of robust Uniswap experts. But I have been playing around on it a little bit. It kind of scares the shit out of me and excites me at the same time, as does, a lot of altcoin and shitcoin trading as it did back in 2017. So getting all the feels in that sense. Now, I think starting with the majors, since Bitcoin is pushing its highs right now as I look over here. So what do you say you pull up? I know you got a handful of some really nice major charts. Ethereum monthly. Oh my God. Don't even get me started here.
Yeah, monthly close in a few hours for Ethereum and Bitcoin. But let's take a quick look at the CME chart here. I noticed someone on Twitter, they'd mentioned that the CME gaps meme. Gaps do tend to fill. Well, make it nice and pretty for everybody.
Oh yeah.
So I did notice a gap someone mentioned here, so let's go look at it. 11.8, 11.9, it has filled. It's pretty minor. Like it's not even distinguishable in higher time frames or anything. But nonetheless, I did check it out. Sure enough, there it is. So I guess it's maybe a critical level, but the main critical level to hold right now for Bitcoin, as we've been talking about for months, if it were to break above 10.5, that would signal a bull market emerging. We've had that. We've moved up $1,000 since that trigger, and this is kind of what we were talking about before, right? Why worry about what's happening in here, right? Like 4 or 5% when we can capture moves like this, right? 10-15% move. So once again, that's executed beautifully. For Bitcoin bull market to maintain here, we just need to hold 10.5. It's that simple. This is going to be true across all exchanges right now. Do you want to be entering the market right here on the leveraged long? No, probably not. Unless we continue to move up to new highs, then it's okay. Probably do a breakout trade, put a stop below the breakout. Besides that, what's happening in Bitcoin? So bull market, we're going to see as long as we hold 10.5. Ideally, what I'd be looking for is if I saw a retest of this level on 10.5 and it was supporting, I'd probably be loading the boat, Omega long, and targeting these upper levels. There's not much above here, right? 11.7 here. Quick price range. There's just a lot of wicks. So, you're going to be looking at a minimum, another 6% move, another decent level. There's lots of opportunity up here. There's a lot of air gaps. So once this breaks this level, this is what we're going to be looking for this area to get filled up here. Even up to the highs around 13.7, 14K. And any test of retest of 10.5, I would be loading the boat.
Yeah, and I mean, we're really bullish right now. We're shooting up, but I don't know that there's much. Like, what are the probability, you think, of us just getting out of that range without ever testing those levels? I mean, we got the usual, right? Year end, tax selling season, things cool off. There's an election, so. I mean, as far as trading this goes, I think you're right on as far as, let's trade the trend. There's some breakouts, retests, and I'm all for that. I'm not into calling tops on trends, especially when they're moving this strong. But as far as like maybe a spot position that I didn't get into just yet, I'm not really FOMOing. I think the FOMO is coming into the market.
Yeah.
I obviously have my position, so maybe, that helps a bit, but I do think we'll see there's a decent probability that we'll see some of those levels again. So it's just a matter of like, okay, are we going to go to 16.8 first? See some harmonic.
With the type of market action we've been having, if we do visit those levels, I don't think it would be a slow grind down. I think it would be one of those, staircase up, elevator down type situations. So it's maybe better to have some resting bids set there with stop loss a few percent lower. But Ethereum monthly closing again in a few hours, just a monster candle here, really. I can't advise getting into any fresh long positions. You can see this actual breakout trade's about to conclude, actually. The conclusion of that's around like 380, 390. Sure, you could give yourself some leeway with some overwicks or something, but I do expect this level to face some strong opposition, resistance, whatever you want to call it, that 365 to 400 level with possible wicks up to 425. This level, again, if we could see something like this is what I would be looking for a really healthy market and a continuation, which is what we're looking for at this place. Like, just accept that you've already missed the bottom, accept that you've missed the breakout trade, and let's look for some new opportunities here, right? So we could come up here, hit the resistance, and if we do fade back, well, where are you going to be looking to enter? Right at that former monthly resistance level, back at 280 that we've been talking about before, right? If you see that support form, right here, something, that's going to be the real long, and that's when you probably get the break. And you'd probably be looking for around these levels again, 500. This is a monthly, so you're not going to see like the true the price history here as well. But on the weekly and the daily time frames, these are solid levels. So that 480 to 520 level would be the next target from this 280 if it were supported down there, 280, 300 level. So that's kind of like the idea around Ethereum there. There's no reason really to be bearish unless this 100% retraces. So put a stop loss if you're long from the bottom, just under $200 or something under this candle, and they're probably going to be pretty happy going into the next quarter. That's basically the crypto majors. Again, we've talked a lot about liquidity cycling. We've seen that move from the mid caps, so like XTZ, Link, all that stuff, moved into the majors last week. I guess I can quickly pull up an LTC USD chart. So when we talk about majors, we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Ethereum, and then the second tier majors. So LTC, EOS, TRZ, XRP, the standard. So I think pretty similar. Look at the stoke here, right? Like, wow, it's looking good. So one thing to note is that the volume here on these majors is really small compared to what we've seen on Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And that makes sense. Like, is there really much going on in the Litecoin or EOS or any of those ecosystems? Not much. There's not much developer activity happening right now. This is essentially the testnet of Bitcoin, as they say. I don't think Bitcoin really needs that testnet anymore. And there's, DeFi has kind of made LTC irrelevant over the years. LTC has never really caught up. Regardless, bullish engulfing on the monthly. If we can move back up to this level around like $67. Yeah, right there. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? $67, $70. That's where I'd be looking to conclude this trade here if you're already in it. Obviously stops below the breakout of the open, and I think LTC, EOS, they all look very similar right now, and that's just the liquidity cycling through the mid caps back into the majors. So we're going to be looking for these runs to continue. Even on the daily here, you can see it's begging for up. It's begging to go fill this level right up here. As you can see a little bit better on the daily time frame there at $70. And it's still really early in these trends, right? Like, we've only had 7 days of up versus even the 4 months of consolidation here. And pair that with the 2-year downtrend that LTC has been going through.
I think it's a little premature to be calling. Like, I'm seeing a lot of big short calls come in, and I mean, hey, that's fancy, and if you hit it, cool, man. But like, we're trending up, and the world global economy, like, it all seems like it's perfectly geared towards not only what Bitcoin was kind of created for, like instability in the US dollar, which kind of bottomed today for now, but it just seems like an odd time to be pulling out your asks on like a heavy short. I mean, scalp it up if you want, but am I really, it's an odd thing. I'm actually a little surprised perhaps at how many bearish charts I'm seeing. It's all good about taking profits, man. If you've been long, hey, personally, I did close a lot of my longs on ETH because they were smacking, and I wanted to lock it in, and I'll look for the next one. I had my targets and they hit. But on the high time frame, I got to pay rent tomorrow. But like spot bags, I'm not touching them. I'm not even looking at them. Like, look at this. I mean, the monthly you pulled up. I want to pull up the weekly in a little bit. What do you got up there now?
So what I have pulled up here now is the US dollar. Obviously, we had that huge spike up in March, and since then it's really just bled out. About I think yesterday, it kind of bottomed out there this morning, rallied for about 5 hours off the New York session. But it did print, two-year lows, or just about two-year lows there. As long as this level holds, kind of, right around. I actually better look at this on the weekly.
Yeah, we got Bagsy giving us a shout out in the TradingView chat. Got Ryan here giving us a happy Friday. Hey Ryan, good to see you, brother.
So the question is, what's going to happen to gold and silver if this US dollar strength continues? Historically, they're inversely correlated. We haven't seen a lot of that. There's still a lot of global uncertainty right now. The pandemic's ticking up. And we have seen a significant rise in precious metals. Now, the best trade we talked about was the silver trade. This is now concluded. You can see that we have indeed tapped the former support back in 2011. What we're going to be looking for now is the former resistance to turn support, right? So that means we're going to be looking for this, 19.5 handle all the way up to around, $20 to be acting as support. So if we see price do something like this, we had this really long consolidation period, then a rocket out of it. Now we need to see if this trend is going to confirm itself. So we'd be looking for something like this, come back down, we tested, ooh, wow, double bottom, and off the races it goes. Turn that back in there, W, amazing, and off to the races. That's what a really healthy chart would look like. Notice the staircase function. Mm-hmm. You see that, repeated in the markets, right? So as long as this level holds down here, it could even support off here. They're just, just not as much history. You got this much versus this whole consolidation block. So I give it a little bit more weight versus this area here. But you can see if you were to pair a horizontal line, it's already supported off there once. I'm just not giving it a lot of weight until this is retested at the very minimum. Otherwise, again, $20 is what we're looking to hold. Same thing with gold.
God, look at that chart.
Yeah, it's just, you wish your bags looked like this thing.
Well, I wish I traded gold this month. Yeah, I don't trade gold. Yeah. I don't mess outside of crypto, but maybe I'll start now. Is there a top I can buy anywhere?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of those.
As soon as I long gold, get the fuck out.
So similar theory here. We're going to it'd be great if this supported up here as support. Former all-time highs flip to support. Like, what a great technical narrative that is, eh? It could happen. That'd be great. If it did, it would look something like this. But again, there was more of a consolidation period here, more price history and reaction at these levels, right? Resistance, 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 resistance. Boom. Look where the banger came off of when it flipped that.
Yeah.
So what would we be looking like for a continuation of the market here? Something like this. Now this is scenario number one. Amazing. All-time highs hold. Oh, little fake out. Oh, confirm it. And above 2,000 to price discovery. Peter Schiff and everybody's happy. Scenario number two, wow, gold's a failed standard. It's supporting at 1760, the former 3 multi-year resistance level turn support. Oh wow, it just got all that liquidity and there she goes. So I don't see gold crashing down here unless there's some black swan event that nobody can predict. I just can't see it given the current fundamentals in the world, where we are in the traditional legacy markets. The US dollar coming off those lows right now. If the US dollar does strengthen, this would be something that I think would correlate really well. Unless the world goes to complete shit, in which case gold could just, skyrocket. But this is what we're going to be looking for from a more sane market perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you just have to work with what makes the most sense and the most, probable outcomes. And if, hey, black swans come along, cool. Trading for them, I mean, they're not, and that's why they call them that, right? They're not that useful to
unless you're at the screen while the event is happening. It's too much risk.
Yeah.
The same as I already told you guys that. So quickly, S&P, it's through the weekly resistance. I thought this, I think everybody thought that, this was a gravestone fucking doji. This thing's going down. Nope. The Fed is here. Tech earnings are here. They blew out everything. And here we go. So, if this can break this high here, where are we headed? Well, probably 100% retrace of the Corona dump. The pandemic never happened. It doesn't exist according to the market. But again, it's always important to remember that the S&P measures the performance of companies, not the health of the economy.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people get mixed up.
Well, and the performance of companies against a US dollar that's going down.
Well, you also have an index that's, you got 4 or 5 companies that make up over 25 or greater than 25% of the weighting for the index, and they all just crushed earnings, and their business models thrive in a pandemic, quarantine, digital quickening shift to more of even digital economy, commerce, supply chains, all that good stuff. So yeah, this makes sense when you think about it rationally. When you look at the data that's coming out, we see a lot of weakening in consumer spending and confidence data right now. That makes sense. Now, could that have an effect on future revenues of companies? Sure, but where are the majorities of people spending money right now? Yeah, it's going to hurt brick and mortar stores. Is it going to hurt the digital tech space? Probably not. Like, they're just essentially vacuums sucking up all liquidity. I think we could have a scenario played out in the sci-fi show called The Expanse, where these corporations get so large, essentially they're the only things producing anything of value. So they have to shift to a UBI-based model for income, and it's distributed through these corporations. And we just had the tech CEOs facing the Senate, the congressional hearings about are they monopolistic or not. And they are, but at the same time, with the antitrust laws, it's the main thing of why they have protection is because they're they presumably acting in the consumer's best interests. You saw Bezos and Tim Cook just highlighting those facts over and over and over, the customer satisfaction, right? Mm-hmm. So they're positioning themselves very, intelligently around that. You can imagine the prep that the lawyers went through for that. But yeah, the markets look really healthy right now. Besides the U.S. dollar there, so risk on. For Bitcoin, all right, well,
look, I've got one for you. You just reminded me about. I'm going to flip over here real quick. There's your M2 money stock. So yeah, that's basically your inflation, is it not?
Yeah, so you're gonna have separate sets of inflation. You're going to have inflation around the M2 money stock, which, this isn't something new. We're not in some experimental mode. Japan has been doing this since the 80s, right? And they've been stuck in deflation. And that's, the deflation expectations have been higher than inflationary expectations. So is there a direct correlation between the inflation of the money supply to the price in goods? Not always. And historically, no. We saw this in 2008 as well. You can look back on this chart, right? When they had massive injections and all the bailouts and all that stuff, the great financial crisis. There was not a large increase of inflation in price and goods and services. Now, you're starting to see that, what's the word? You are seeing inflation in some goods and services. For example, at the gym, I've seen extra fees for more cleaning and things like that. Hotels, there's also extra surcharges and stuff, right? So it's very unlikely once a new fee is added or the price has been increased, it's very rarely that those services prices come back down. Similar to how income tax was a wartime measure, it's still around, right? Once these, they're already proposing pandemic-like, related taxes to help things going. Well, those things would probably always stay, right? Yeah. It's just they're just pinching every penny out of people, taxpayers specifically right now.
Well, and this is why I love having you on here. I mean, generally are, but I missed you on Wednesday because of this kind of commentary. And to be honest, somewhat goes above my head. I wish I could offer more to it, but I listen and I learn and I take notes on it. What do you make of this chart, which is the SPX divided by that money flow? In other words, it's the SPX really accounting for inflation. So if you look at it, we didn't really ever take new highs after the 2008 crash. We basically just came up to the highs, swept them, and then tanked. I mean, how sick is that
I've actually
chart?
never even looked at this chart before. This is very interesting.
This is a sneak attack. Yeah, I'm throwing a quick fire at you right here because you just, as you were talking earlier, it reminded me I had this one saved up. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy at TRI that I trade with who he was, he posted this. I thought, dude, can I borrow this? Can I have this? He's like, yeah, man, go for it. And it's basically just the SPX divided by the money flow. I mean, what a sick chart. You get the 2008 crash, and all since that, it was said that we were going off to new highs. But you factor in that quantitative easing, factor in all that inflation, and really, it's just a parlor trick. We never really made new highs. And in fact, to a month within sweeping those highs, we tanked.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's kind of cool. It makes you think, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
like, why the hell
chart
did
needs
this...
to get some more commentary on it, man.
Why did this technical line up so well with the friggin' coronavirus?
Was it planned?
I don't know, man, but it's freaky. It's kind of cool. But enough about this shit because Uniswap's going nuts, and I want to talk crypto for a minute. So I'm going to pull us back over here, and let's go take a look. Now, full disclosure. Uniswap's risky, man. It's got some really cool features, and it's a DEX, and DEXs are finally seeing their day. Yeah, you know what, Sheplik? I appreciate that. And after this show, I'm going to share that S&P divided by money flow. We'll just put it out as an idea on our account. So you remind me of that there, Nick. After we wrap today, because we got Sheplik on TradingView would like to see that chart, and we'll happy to share it. So we're going to publish that one right after this. And so we're going to switch over here to Uniswap. This is the homepage, yeah. So, like, full disclosure, like a month ago, a buddy of mine who's been all over this thing, finally convinced me. He's like, dude, just like come check it out. So if you're looking at this going like, well, man, he's not sure he knows his whole way around there, that's a fact of life right here. But we will talk about what we do know. And the first and most obvious thing, you can see the volume on this thing has just skyrocketed since May and June and now into July. I think, and I think you have some Glassnode charts that we were going to pull up today.
Yeah, I got them pulled up right now.
I think that there's likely a lot of correlation between Ethereum price right now and the Uniswap uses. And I even found myself the other day like, oh, I'm going to go buy some Ethereum because I want to go and trade some shitcoins. And, I need to use Uniswap to do that now because the thing is nice about it is it kind of reminds me of Ether Delta back in the day. For anyone who was here in 2017, get these ICOs and anyone with the tokens could just go and essentially trade them on Ether Delta. There's a lot of scams and there's a lot of trash, and I don't think anything's changed. I think there's probably like 40 new coins created yesterday, 10 of them just named after other crap that was, that's real. So again, I'm nervous even talking about this because of the thought of somebody being like, oh, cool, Lambo, and then they get wrecked and I had anything to do with it, so just, be careful over here, have some fun, but be aware that even in something like, let me pull up an example because this is one that I actually have a little of. I've been messing with it today. So again, zero financial advice here, no buy recommendations, but XAMP has been just anti-ample. It's one that's been talked about. I was like, wow, it's going to get some legs just because people are talking about it, and that's kind of the way it is right now. It seems a little insane. I'm actually just going to...
That's the brilliance of social media.
I'm going to flip back here, Nick, just so they can all see the chart. Yeah, it's like I'm playing this not from a fundamental value point of view or even a technical point of view. I'm playing this because I'm like, I know that this shit is hot right now.
Yeah.
And I see certain people talk about it and I think, well, they're going to keep talking about it. They obviously have a position and people are listening to them, and there's this mania right now. And then Ample's big in the space and there's probably some FOMO there. And yesterday was getting crushed. So it's like the perfect day for X-Ample to rise up, anti-Ample. I don't know. It's so this is where you get into a different kind of, I'm not doing my technical analysis trading plan on this. I'm messing around, and I'm messing around with an amount that if I woke up tomorrow and it was like down 80%, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But like, okay, moving on, fun experiment. I get really nervous at the thought of people coming in here and getting, maybe a little greedy, a little naive and throwing in, 80, 90, 100% of their bankroll or even like net worth. Like, just be careful, guys, because you will wake up someday. Someday could be tomorrow, could be next week, could be in 6 months or 2 years. Someone, I guess, will be holding these back. Like the last trade is always someone buying it, right?
Yeah.
And somebody somewhere is going to get left with a bag, and
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
call
be
this
heavy.
type of trade style influencer-based, FOMO-based trading.
There you go.
It's you would never hear about these projects unless you actually have people on Twitter getting the word out there.
Yeah, and I actually did something I haven't done in a long time, which is go to Bitcoin Talk thread. That's how I did go find out about this thing, and it's the developer. And
that's where you go gem shopping.
Yeah, the developers wrote up a little thing. It's hyper deflationary and all this stuff, and there's a lot of burns and going on. And hey, it's fun.
I think the gimmick of this coin is that it only rebases down.
Okay, so anti-ample, so it's like pure debasement. So I mean that's a bit of fun. Anyways, I have some. It's exciting to watch the things move. Actually, I will give a shout out to Uniswap Vision. Uniswap.vision, and you can go on there. They don't have all the pairs, so I don't think even Xsample is even on here yet. No, you can't find it yet, but they have a bunch, and it's the only way I know that I can find a trading view chart to chart this stuff. And I love my trading view chart, and I need to have my tools. Otherwise, I can't make sense of it. If I don't have a fib, I mean, what is anything really?
God forbid you had to do this by manual pencil.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
There's some people out that's how they did it before.
Still do that. It's I'm gonna still use it.
True OGs.
That's the cool thing about Gann. I mean, he invented everything he invented with like a friggin' protractor and some early 1900s and But anyway, so DEXT, trending up back down into this reload zone last week is actually kind of where I picked some up in this big old dip. And the reason I like this one fundamentally, and again, this is not a buy recommendation, I'm just using it as an example because it's one of the few I'm paying attention to in here, is that this is their platform. And it's, if Uniswap's going to be big, right? If Uniswap, and I mean, it is big already, but if it's going to be a thing, continue to be a thing, then something to read it and turn it into an exchange. Because otherwise, you're just looking at these, let me find a pair. So ETH and Ample. So you want to trade this thing, like this is your screen, right? And you see I have a couple ETH in there. I mean, this is your screen, and you don't really get to see the buys and sells coming through. So, it's
You're blind. You're in the dark.
It's kind of hard. I mean, as a trader, that's why I stayed away a lot. So I actually want to use this platform. Right now it's free. It's like a beta. And they're going to start charging, I think something like $50 a month based on the price of the token. It'll go up or down, but you have to pay in their token. So I do see, for all the randomness being thrown around on Uniswap hype right now, I do actually see some decent potential for demand in this one. I don't think it's going to get like an influencer 10x overnight, but it is one that I'm dabbling with, and it has a chart on here, and it looks like it's trending up, blah, blah, blah. So, for what it's worth, I think there's some value there for like a more patient approach. Once they close their beta and actually charge, because even now, like I think their usership went up 25% like yesterday. Probably with this tendies rally and some other stuff. Everyone's rushing in to say, how can I see a chart? How can I see a chart? And this is the only one that you can really do that on that I know of. I heard about one competitor. I don't know what it is. So yeah, this one that I think is just one that I have. That's actually Xsample. There's some others these are, so I'm just pulling names out of the trading pit that have been brought up. So again, always starting and ending with not financial advice. I don't even own tendies. I'm sad just for the meme. I wish I had some. I'm hungry. I want some chicken. But again, I looked at the site. It's like hyper deflationary. Reminds me of bomb tokens. So that's actually one I want to pull up because I had a friend involved in this one, and he told me a little bit about it, and it was a really important lesson. I think everyone should get an idea of the risks.
While you're pulling up that chart there, Bitcoin pulling up here 11,415 right now, spot.
Oh, let's flip over.
$250 off the lows here, coming up to that pretty major weekly level there at 11,450. I don't even need a trading view chart open. And, we're just pulling this level from here back over in 2018. A lot of price history at this point. And you can see again, if we can get above here and close above it, a lot of air for another 25% move upside. So set your alarms on this weekly level, for it shall be tested shortly.
I gotta get like a live trading console up here for when we do this. For last like 2 out of the last 4 streams, I've just been like, okay, wait, where? I want to enter that long. But no, I wouldn't. I don't know what I would do. I was telling you earlier, I'm like, working on some other stuff right now. I don't want to be in a big sweaty leverage.
Yeah.
I don't. My setup didn't fire, and I'm just kind of watching. But I'm gonna pull back over here because this is one that, and then I want to get into that Glassnode ETH stuff as a follow up to our whatchamacallit chat about Uniswap today. But I think this is an important lesson here from Bomb Token, which no concept of where it's at right now, but I think it's down to like 1 mil market cap. Cool. Now this was 2018. This was June 2019. Excuse me. So I mean, now I'm pulling this up because I get a little nervous. I see guys in the trading pit. They're like, I know a lot of them are joking. They're like, my college fund, my kid's college fund, but like, it's exciting right now. No two ways about it. Have your fun. The OGs in the space are loving it. They're like, this is like alt season 2017, but they know what they're doing. And as hype as they are in this stuff, a lot of them, myself included, like, we're probably playing with free positions. You take that 2x, you take your money back. Now you let that fun bag ride. And if it 10x's, 100x's, cool. Don't look back, scoop it up. I think it's really good to be conservative. But Bomb Token, are we right here with this hype? And then it's like, wow, we are going to rip some faces. Or like, are we somewhere up here? But Bomb Token, it was very exciting. It 100x'd and, then it fell off. And there's probably people still waiting for that thing to moon. Someone bought all those bags and they're holding them.
Where's it listed right now? See, that's the problem with a lot of these old tokens is like they got delisted from major exchanges. So their on-ramps for liquidity is...
Yeah, it's on Mercatox. It's not even on Uniswap. So that's the last thing I wanted to talk about. And, never to sit here and be the bear, because I am messing around on Uniswap right now and I'm having a hell of a time. I'm excited. I'm staying up late. It's like the good old days. But I want to make sure everyone understands what they're doing, because I don't like the idea of people getting wrecked, especially on, if they're coming in the trading pit looking for ideas and then they're like, oh man, you guys told me to buy Tard. Okay, buy that one, but I'm not buying that one.
It is not the next Bitcoin.
I'm not buying that one. So you can pull, I think that's the major risk, and that's one thing that has happened. It's kind of like the rug pull, and you get those who are providing these liquidities. So right now you have $35 million in liquidity parked inside of the Ample pool. It's pretty safe. 52,000 ETH, 19 million Ample. That's probably pretty okay. Some of these newer ones, you can actually just, maybe there's like 200 ETH in there and some tokens to match, and they fluctuate back and forth in their amount and maintains kind of a USD value. That's a bit of how the protocol works. But who is the person who posted that liquidity? Are they the only provider? And couldn't they pull it? They can, right? Now some projects actually lock their liquidity on there with a smart contract, and they will provide proof of that. So that's one thing you can do if you're trying to dive into this. I mean, it's laughable to think what do you mean fundamental research? It's shitcoin season, just have fun. But if you're thinking about putting some real money in and you really want to turn this into a science, reach out to the founders of some of these, and, ask them, be like, hey, can you show that you locked liquidity and maybe learn something about it?
And that's the biggest thing, like a tip I would give to people is don't cheap on your research. Definitely on the tokenomics side for these new projects, look up how much of these coins are actually locked. Don't buy a coin where you have 100% unlock and the team has 30-40% of the tokens. You're going to get dumped on every time.
Yeah, probably, right? Zamp, there's a 1,200 Ethereum locked up in there, and why not?
Apple was dumping on retail at 250. Like, blockchain doesn't lie.
Yeah. So be safe, have fun. It is exciting. There's shit. You fall asleep, wake up 2x. It's like selling. That's crazy gains. If 100% pop on Binance, I'd be like, whoa, what a moon. And it seems like it's just happening like this, but it goes away. And so I guess in a nutshell, I would just say pay yourself. Don't forget to pay yourself. Working with a free position is a beautiful thing. I put an ETH in, turns into 2 ETH. I take my ETH back. Now I got one to ride with, right? So that's my 2 cents on Uniswap, I think let's pull up the Glassnode stuff because it has been really affecting the ETH network.
Yeah, like
Um,
miners are literally rolling in dough right now. It's never been better.
oh, the ape army has arrived. My God, I got so into that. What's up, fellas? Oh my God. Chat is lit up. Good to see you
Awesome.
guys. Welcome. Let's pull up some Glassnode stuff. Blow our minds with some of these metrics. How is this affecting the ETH network? Is it behind the price rise? What do we got?
Well, if anything, it's going to be adding more barriers to entry, right? You have Uniswap fees. What are they, upwards of like $3 right now per swap? It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but for a lot of people in the world, $3 is a lot of money, right? So not everybody's privileged to have a strong fiat currency behind them. So that's something we got to always be thinking about. But yeah, again, the miners have never been happy. And at a time when Ethereum's supposedly about to make a shift to POS, they're cashing in here at the tail end. Let's take a look at some more of the thing here, mainly on the fee side, because the gas is going up.
Yeah, the gas. So, okay, hold up. Monday, I paid. Now, one thing I didn't mention on Uniswap, you have to approve your tokens. Okay. Cycling back. I got so carried away. I want to give two hot tips. I got to give two hot tips before we go because these are things I learned and probably are good to share. I don't really have a visual for this, but two hot tips if you're trading on Uniswap. Never trade away the last of your Ethereum. Somebody in here probably did. They're like, oh shit, I'm out of Ethereum. I have no gas. I
Can't send anything.
can't even swap my tokens back. So you cannot, just say you buy shitcoin X, you buy all your, you push that max button, you smash the buy, and then you're like, oh, I don't have any gas to sell those things. I did that last week. Now I actually did save, I had like $30, $40 of ETH there for gas. And then the friggin' fee on Monday was like $35.
Yeah.
The fees spiked on that dump, right? I don't know
They're
what it
up
was.
100% in the past 14 days right now.
Yeah, so the fees spiked, and the other thing is you have to approve your tokens. Let me just point out what that looks like because I can actually do that on here. Okay, so let's say I'm not trying to show off my bag here, but I got a little Zamp. Now look, let's say I want to trade these, right? I bought them and I want to go swap. I want to sell them. I want to dump my bag. Right now I can just swap it, but when I first get here, I have to click approve. And it basically is a little transaction that takes place that kind of pulls your data on your wallet and says, okay, proof, I have these. Okay. Do that. Personally, I would say do that right after you buy. So, and I made that mistake this morning. I bought some Zamp last night or whatever. I wake up this morning, I'm like, oh, it's up like 2x, 2.5x. I'm gonna just take my money back. And then I had to do an approval, and it was all these errors, and it took a while to sign out of MetaMask, sign back in, blah, 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 blah. So, approving right away, and then you're good. And then when you want to swap, you can just do it. I got stuck with it for like an extra 10 minutes. I lost a little bit on that one. It went down a little. So two hot tips. Don't use all your gas in your wallet ever, and approve right away when you buy so that you're light on your feet and you're ready to move if you need to, because this shit does move fast. And that's my two hot tips today. Now let's get back to those juicy metrics.
I actually had a very similar thing happen to me on MetaMask, but luckily you can just send coin over there and it wasn't as urgent. One last thing I quickly wanted to touch on though, I love this statistic. On when was I on last Monday? Yeah, Monday we were sitting around 200 million BTC on Ethereum. I said this is going to $1 billion. Well, folks, it's already up another 12%, another 28 million bucks. This trend is going to continue. So going back quickly here, as we don't need to beat the horse here. The point is that things are going to be getting more expensive until there's scaling solutions, which don't expect those until 2021. The way things are looking right now. So if we continue to see what's going to happen now, if we continue to see this surge in the DeFi space across DEXs as well, because not only is Uniswap affected, but a lot of other DEXs are affected by this as well, right? And swap protocols and all that good stuff. So yeah, prices are going to be increasing for the next couple months. Expect that. Where are they going to go? I have no idea. It's all going to depend on how much demand hits the network over these next couple months. If we're going to see these majors really pick up here, like we're talking Bitcoin and Ethereum, this rally continues, expect a trickle down of volume into those services. So yes, fees are going to be getting expensive for Ethereum. Yes, it's going to be going through the exact same cycle that we saw with Bitcoin back in 2017. No scaling, solution has really been deployed. So yeah, we're going to run into the exact same problems. People are going to complain about the exact same things, but luckily you have the advantage of knowing what is coming, because there's a lot more analytical tools that monitor this stuff, so you can plan ahead of time, and it's not such a surprise.
Well, and see it coming. I mean, Monday I was shocked when I saw my fee was like $30. I was like, what is happening? I was kind of worried. I was like, is there some mass exodus of like DeFi pools right now or something? Like, how could they be that high all of a sudden? And they've cooled off a little. They're ranging now between, I think, like 150 to like $3. And but there's these weird choke moments that are just
there's
freaky.
A bunch of other bots that are like spamming the network at times. I don't have all the details on it, but I do know it's happening, and that's been attributing to this rise. So not only is there the organic human demand executing, but there's also some fuckery going on with automated systems.
Yeah, God forbid CryptoKitties pops up again, and then it's just like Uniswap competing with CryptoKitties. I mean, if that one game, the NFT trading thing, can crash the market like it did, obviously we're at a higher bandwidth now, but it makes you wonder.
We're at a higher bandwidth, but it's already maxed out.
Well, it's remaxed. Yeah, it's kind of like well, I won't share that example, but basically, yeah, it's filling. It's like water in a container, right? It's filling the space it gets. You give it more space, more use cases pop up.
Right. It's the equivalency of trying to solve traffic congestion by adding more lanes. It doesn't work, and it just fills up.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing you got to factor into your risk profile when you are trading on something like a DEX, is that you are at the mercy of the network. You are at the mercy of the miners. You're at the mercy of liquidity pool providers, and those are all things that you can't message them for help. If something goes wrong on my exchange account, often I can just click the little help button and I'm like, hey, help me out. So there's lots of differences to it. For now, it's some place I'm playing in there, man. It's fun as hell, and it's more just a laugh. Like, I'm having a good time. It's not as strategic and sexy maybe as like the TA setups. But man, it's fun as hell, and with things like Uniswap Vision, suddenly it's bringing the TradingView TA back home to the asset, which is nice. So
yeah, it's awesome. So
what do you say we pull up some alts here? Got some alts. It's time
to dive in.
Time to dive in. Let's not forget that things trading. Where's my alt chart here? I'm gonna find it. Well, first of all, I got this other chart. The decoupling chart. Have I shown you that one yet?
So
may not have shown you that one. Let's get that up here. So we've got. I'll put you back on here. I think I'm gonna shrink you down a little. There you go.
Minimize.
Small Nick. All right. So let's pull this up and talk a little bit about the decoupling narrative, because it's happening and it's big. So we've got. This is just like a little.
Nobody's talking about it.
Nobody's talking about this. And shout out to BTC Jack Sparrow, is a buddy of mine. He's the first one that showed me this chart, so I should give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
He had the brilliant idea to take Bitcoin versus USD and cross it with the US 30 index. So basically the top 30, I believe it's in the DJI, the Dow Jones. And so it gives you kind of a proxy for the stock market, and then you compare that to Bitcoin. So if price goes up on this chart, Bitcoin is outperforming stocks. If you want to, associate the US 30 as a representative sample of the entire stock market. And then on the red candles, Bitcoin is, underperforming stocks. Stocks are outperforming. And look at this thing, is bullish as hell. Right?
That's a sexy chart.
The Corona dump, we obviously underperformed, and stocks dumped too, but not quite as bad. And we came back in, lots of W's in here if you zoom into the dailies. Breakout looked really good. That's the first time we put it out in May. We were talking about this on Twitter, and it was just like, okay, cool. And then it just kind of went quiet for a bit, tap these EMAs, tap the breakout level, and then it's just boom. I mean, if that's not indicative of what's to come, I don't know what is. Now, of course, because we're not at all-time highs, we have lots of resistances to the left. We're not in that price discovery yet. Wham, wham. But we break out of here, which I already marked. That's coming. Probably we'll see that. This is the weekly, so we'll probably see in the next week or two this test, if not tomorrow, the way Bitcoin's looking right now. this is another big level. But after this, I mean, look left. I mean, we've got, a couple levels left on the weekly, but the trend is looking really good for crypto right now for stocks.
The world, oh, look at that. The world's imploding if this is at an all-time high for Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, it obviously it resembles a Bitcoin chart pretty closely, but just to remember, this is not valued against the dollar. It's valued against the US 30 index.
Which is why it's even more significant.
Yeah, big time. And
everybody's looking for that uncorrelated narrative.
For example, stock market goes down, over the next 3 weeks and Bitcoin just goes flat, the price on this will go way down, right?
Yeah.
Because, Bitcoin could rally and stocks just stay flat. I mean, this can move up and down in more ways than just Bitcoin moving up and down. So it's a big, interesting one. We'll be keeping an eye on the higher time frames. It's not really something you would chart daily, can't trade it, whatever, but it's a really cool macro. I wanted to make sure we got out there today.
Take a quick look at the dominance chart to give an overview of where alts are.
Yeah, let's get into our alt discussion here. I'm going to just, I think I have to pull it up actually. Let's get into the DOM. Now, really good news. We were on Wednesday, and on Wednesday we had tapped, pulled back, and we're pushing again. And on Wednesday, I was feeling a little bit, concerned that we had to kind of come up, test this trend line, maybe even test this bearish retest, but really happy to report that we were right back into this range. This is how I think it should be, to be honest. I don't think that Bitcoin needs to dominate the space. I think Ethereum and a lot of other protocols and coins have room in here. I don't, maybe it's a bias. I don't like the idea of Bitcoin just destroying everything. I like the idea of all coins and Ethereum and everything getting their time to play in the sun. So this to me makes sense that Ethereum stays strong and we're right here. Because again, a lot of this chart is based on this right here, which is the ETH BTC chart, right? So we had ETH BTC, I should go to the daily. All right, we had this breakout, which we've been featuring here quite a bit. So you probably recognize this chart if you've been watching, right? Nice big breakout. I mean, that's a strong 5-6 day move. Inside bar fail, right back down. So it's time to retest. And how did that retest go? Well,
pretty good.
Pretty well, I'd say. February 2020 pivot high here. We tagged it, wicked up, closed bullish, tagged it again, and then just blasted off. So ETH wants to perform well right now. It's looking very strong against Bitcoin, and it is keeping our dominance at bay. I have so many tabs open. It's hilarious right now. Y'all could see my screen. So there we go. Nope, there we go. So we could have this range. I mean, it should stay ranging if ETH BTC is going to be here to play. But as you can see here, I've got the rect up above this range. We're going to have to go back to risk off, at least on this chart, if we close back above, I'd say these candle body highs. So maybe I'll even just move the range up a bit. I don't want to get out of all positions just on a fake out. I want to give it a strong signal if we're going to reverse, because this trend is pretty strong. So I'm going to need quite a signal to tell me that it's over. I was a little concerned on Wednesday that we were going to be reversing, but for now it looks like ETH has come to play, and that bounce was what we were looking for. And this is ultimately this is the alt season everyone's dreaming of, right? I mean, zooming in, you're like, oh, it's a lot of movement, but really it's nothing. It's this potential.
That's what you want.
Yeah, it's this space down here. This is alt season, everybody. This is the stuff dreams are made of.
This is the pre-positioning of an alt season.
Yeah,
it's like the first snow of a real snowstorm.
It's the test pump.
Yeah,
it's the test pump. If we're gonna get, that proper rally,
still
now,
in range.
I want to. Yeah. Speaking of which, I think a good example of that would be I think VET. Now this is one I actually didn't trade through this, so can say confidently it's not like I'm pumping my bags or bag holding here. But VET makes sense to me because you want to look to the leaders. So which coins started that initial rally, maybe cooled off during some of the other hype over the last few weeks. This one didn't really. It only just broke down this week, really. But and then looking to those leaders to see what they're going to do next. If you can spot coins that are kind of leading the way, can provide a lot of value. Ghost giving us some. I won't repeat it, but I get that all the time, Ghost. I get it. Yes. Hard. So So I'm going to be watching VET. I'm going to be watching this level closely. This would be a sick throwback. I would love to grab that if I could have a bid set, maybe an alert on that bid. Doesn't look out of the question if you think about it. Versus Bitcoin, okay, come up, little consolidation dump, bounce into the EMAs. Let's get a finish. Can I get a fill here at 111? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. If BTC is just so strong right now, like people definitely got. Well, we were saying, don't chase the breakout. Don't be the fucking noob. Wait for the retest.
Yeah.
And we got that with. I'll show you my chart here quickly.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it was a couple weeks ago. We said, hey, low IQ, chasing into this resistance. Let's wait for the breakthrough and the retest.
And the thing is when something's really bullish with high momentum behind it, which is what we've had with Ethereum with that very long consolidation period, is that things get front run. And that's the risk of it, of waiting, right? So that's why you kind of got to be monitoring that intraday price action. But this is a daily chart. So, we'd advise waiting for the breakout. Didn't quite get back there. Got front run probably by, 1.5%, 2%. Where is this going if this continues to break? Well, look. We got a clear range level up here, and we got another volume node to support it. Ethereum, ETH, BTC, still 11% move to the top of this range. So we're going to be looking at this level now.
Yeah. And that retest doesn't, it looks awkward on there, but if you look at the wicks, it's a line chart just looking at candle close, but the wicks are really, that retest came in on the wick twice.
It came in very, exactly.
Beautiful.
And that's the thing, the line, it's just literally spot on to this, like Satoshi. What more could you want out of technical analysis, right? It's all Fugazi, but is it? But with the line charts, it just kind of takes the wicks out of the picture. And normally, if you're trying to enter into a market or exit, and my personal strategy, set a variance, so 1% spread for your orders or something, because you don't want to miss your order like this, for example. So you'd be setting your orders from the top of this wick all the way through the zone to the body of the candle, and that's generally a good strategy for actually picking up in the zone rather than hoping one bid fills all. Rarely is that going to happen, or if it does at the bottom of the range, you may have just bought the knife. So I like using the scattered bids and setting the alarms so I can monitor while things are getting filled to see what the price reaction is. I'm all about those price reactions off these levels.
Yeah, as much as I want to have those bids working, I tend, like I've been saying before on the stream, to keep my liquidity fairly light on its feet. I don't like layering books with a whole bunch of bids and then not having that liquidity available for my other sort of active trading. So I'm more of an alerts guy myself, but when you look back on some of these larger pairs and you're getting a big pivot potential, I mean, God, when they smack so beautifully. And so there's certain times, whether it's like ETH at 250, can we get ETH back at 250? That's a tag I'd like to have a long bid on, certain ones. Altcoins in general, I'm not as desperate to get that.
It's like Ren. This is another great one. Great project, great team, super active on the GitHub and stuff. A lot of partnerships. Is it going to get back down here? So there's so many levels to take off. I don't like using these deviations, you can call them. Hardly any time spent up there. It's not a strong level. It's easily goes through it. So you're going to be looking for around 1214. Or this, in my opinion, the Holy Grail entry, something like down here. So if we see Bitcoin continue to, flex its chadness for a little bit, you're going to get, these are going to fill, like these gaps will fill. So the goal here is to be rotating out of Bitcoin when you think it's getting close to the top. Is it going to blast through this weekly resistance? We're going to see, but it's getting to a key level, right? But if it does, you're going to expect an impulse across the alt market into these levels. And that's why I do like having those resting bids with, somewhat tight, but actually more so like down here, it's pretty loose stop loss. But if I'm looking for a big swing position, if I think Ren's, going to do something like this, quickly pull in the editor, grab that. If I think it's going to do something like this, right, and actually go to new highs, I don't really care if it wicks down like that or something, right? As long as I see the price closing above these levels here, I'm okay with this. That's fine, right? I just want to see price closing above these levels. And that gives me the confirmation and the trigger of the trade. And that's kind of like how I look at these markets and how I'm positioning myself into the alt space right now. Obviously, a few of them popped big today. SXP is probably one of them here. A lot of people talking about this on crypto. It's going to the moon, blah, 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 blah. But sure enough, they're shilling you right into the daily resistance. So congratulations on that. You were late. Accept
it's true. Yeah. You got to be careful. I think understanding the game that's being played in social media as well. Sometimes there's shades of saying what people want to hear versus what's reality. We try to bring as much objectivity into this stream as possible. I might think that something's going to hit the moon, but I'm not going to shill it too hard because I know that my bag might get wrecked too. But hey, if the chart looks sexy, I'm going to tell you it looks sexy. I'm going to say that looks bullish as hell. But if it looks bearish, maybe it's making a new high on bearish divergence. I'm just going to point that out. I mean, you got to make your own decisions either way, right?
Yep. And this is the exact same entry technique that I would be looking for here, right? I've missed it. That's too bad. Whatever. If I think it's bullish, I'm going to want to buy the retest of former resistance. If I see this confirmation, fantastic. Your stop below the spring of the move. And that's it, right? We should have enough momentum at this point after reloading here to take this high out. Take this one out here. And then if that turns support, you got a huge volume node here. That would be the confirmation for the next trade, right? Just constantly fading the breakouts, buying the retests, selling, catching the markup of the move. That's what you want. You want the markup, not the breakout. X, check.
Yeah. Catch that. Yeah. Catch it once it's confirmed. Okay, I'm going up.
Exactly.
And I don't care what price I do sometimes, you look back like, I want to get in cheaper. I'd be at more of an X. Like, no. Just get something that's going in the right direction. And to do that, you kind of have to, sometimes you have to be patient and you have to buy it at a higher price. But you get that confirmation, you wait a little bit. Now look, while you're getting that ready, I've been looking in the YouTube chat. We got a lot of hype here and excitement around LID, L-I-D, Liquidity Dividends Protocol. Hopefully that's what you guys are asking about. I'm assuming it is. What chart is that you just had on there, Nick? Somebody's asking.
I was just looking at REN BTC.
REN. So that's REN
and then
BTC.
After that, the first one was REN. The second one here was Swipe Card. Saw on FTX and stuff.
Say that again. Swipe.
Oh,
SXP, yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to do a quick dive into LID, and if anything else, this will be just a good demonstration of how I would approach a coin when somebody says, "Hey, what do you think of this coin?" Or if I see somebody shilling like, "Oh, like buy this one." Well, what do? So I first of all pull up CoinGecko because that's where I find they get listings the fastest. Maybe a little less biased. I don't know who owns them, but it's not Binance. So I'm a little, anyways, I'm leaning on
They've
CoinGecko.
really improved.
I like it. Yeah, they've really improved. Now, that's where I would start. And they're one of the things I really like is they post as much of the information as they can here about it. So let's go over to the website. So first thing I would do is I would check it out. Flashy website, looks pretty good. You can watch this video. Won't put it on right now. Usually gives you like that cute music and the 2-minute cartoon description of how it's going to change the world. And looking through the main features: secure purchases, community-driven project, licensed LID protocol, social referrals. So on the whole, this one looks a little more legit as like a very first glance, right? Looks a little more like, it's not like a Bitcoin talk thread that was concocted in 18 minutes and coded in 45 seconds based on an existing project. Shout out to XAMP, which I'm still long on, so don't dump it. But like this one actually looks like it's got something going on with it. But it's just a fancy website. So let's go look at some of the quick metrics we can find on Uniswap. I want to know how much liquidity is pooled in there, right? Who's putting their money where their mouth is? We got 2,000 Ethereum, about 2,200 Ethereum, 18 million of these tokens. Volume is high. 3.6 million in volume is fairly high. Probably higher than a vast majority of, say, Binance alts right now. So, there's a lot of interest, which means you should have an exit if you are looking, especially on something like a few day trade kind of thing, like trade this in for a few days or weeks. I want to know before I buy something that there's somebody that's going to buy it back from me when I'm ready to get out. So I'd like to have something with volume, potentially rising volume. That's what we're seeing. It's only like a couple of days old, so take that with a grain of salt. Very, very little history to look at. And the chart, I think I have a chart around here. Yeah. So let's take a look at the chart on CoinStats. Somebody asked, can it go higher? Nobody knows. It can, for sure. May not, may. So this is not about yes or no, but I will tell you this. There was a double top here and a breakdown, and then it posted some bullish market structure and is now making a push back to highs. If these highs break, this is like very quick and dirty TA because there's not very much history here. But if these highs break at whatever that is, 5 cents, its price discovery is back on. And, with that kind of volume flowing in, and looks like they have, staking going live tomorrow night, still a very new project. So I mean, my 2 cents is if there's anything going on with this project, the idea of it being done seems less probable. For whatever my word's worth on that, seems less probable that there's like, oh, this is it. It was a total flash in the pan. It's trash. It's going down. But like we were just talking about on all those other charts, do I want to just maybe let it break out of 5 cents and then see if I can buy it, trade it at 5 cents when it comes back down? Be the retest you want to see in the world? I don't know. I don't have any of this, but now I've looked into it. Doesn't look like a total scam. And that's the cool thing about Uniswap. There's a lot of very legitimate projects going on there, using it as a nice fast entry into liquidity. Because it used to be the idea of like, remember ICOs in 2017 and you get them and you're like, when's there going to be a listing? And there's a lot of projects still to this day from 2017. One of them that I actually bought the ICO. And they still don't have a major exchange. I'm like, boys, have you heard of Uniswap? And like, it's crazy, right? So buy some live. Okay. Am I allowed to do that? Mike's hit me up in the chat here. He's like, buy some live.
Sounds like bait.
Sounds like a scam, Mike. I really want to. I think that'd be cool as hell, but oh fuck it, why not? I'm gonna buy a little bit of this. This is not a buy recommendation, guys. This is me throwing away Ethereum.
Literally sending it to the graveyard.
This is all some kind of big scam. He's like, no, because when you type in the password on your ledger, it
Another trend we're seeing.
Yeah, you pull up your screen.
Before.
You do something on the chart here, Mike. You might have got me just for fun. I might throw a little half ETH there, buy your bag off you. But pull something up here, because hell no, I'm not doing it on the screen here.
I was just saying that we're seeing a lot of projects launching similarly named projects on Bitcoin Talk. So just make sure you guys are using the right addresses.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I'm on live. I'm looking at chats. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. Like, when I'm gonna go like put my money out in the market, man. Like, what if I'm on the wrong contract?
It's honestly happening.
Mike? No, so like it is a focus thing. It's not as easy as market buy. Like there's passwords, there's all this, there's gas fees. But based on the shill factor in the trading pit, like, which again is kind of like what we talked about as far as a quick and dirty trade strategy. There's certain people that when they talk about these things, I'm like, oh, okay, I trust you. I'll take a shot at it. Like again, never risking anything that I would miss. I mean, all money's important money, but 2 ETH, a couple of ETH, throw them around. Like, hey, you flip a few ETH, pull those out. Now you got a free bag. Now I'm ready to ready to go. So, something to think about. Be safe. Let's get in the game. Yeah, you almost had me, Mike. But no, I'm gonna take a look at Lid because after just diving into it with you guys here, there might be something there. And if they're just going staking live tomorrow, that's kind of cool. I feel like I'm early. But we'll see. We'll see that 5 cent high, how it does here. For what it's worth, it does look like it's going to break, but that's just TA. It's my opinion. That's TA. Could go to zero. But that's the fun of the game. Now, final thoughts as we head into the monthly close. This is possibly the biggest monthly close that we have headed into since what? Like thinking
Last month?
back, how could you have had a bigger
Every monthly
monthly
close is a big close.
like yeah, every monthly close is big, but like this is confirming so much bullishness and it's going to happen in 3 hours. I think we should really wrap with the bullish close in the front of our minds because there's going to be a lot of high time frame breakout patterns that confirm based on the candle that's about to print in 3 hours. Let's take a look.
Yeah, like I can quickly do up a monthly chart here. It's again, like we've been saying, like there's so much air above this level here, right? 11.7. There's nothing until $400 or $500 higher. So the main monthly level you're going to be looking at is up here, and this is actually a yearly level as well, like 13.7. So that's the main target. As long as 10.5 holds, I'm very confident that Bitcoin will be testing this level, 13.8. When? I don't know.
That's exciting. Now, the thing that's, we have to remember too, when Bitcoin goes, and sometimes alts take a hit because, money tends to move where money's moving. And like if something's rallying, then everyone piles in. And we're seeing that on Uniswap. We're seeing it with Ethereum. Eventually, Bitcoin will wake up like it did on Monday and it'll take back some of that market share. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, arguably, and XRP, they have the ability to draw the masses' attention.
Yeah.
Not just pulling liquidity around the space, oh, Uniswap, oh, Binance, oh, we're going here, we're going there. But we're talking about like people who have never heard of crypto, people maybe said, screw that thing, it's a Ponzi. Those are the kind of people, that's the crowd, institutions, whatever you want to call it, retail, all of them. Anyone who doesn't own crypto, when Bitcoin does well, they think about owning crypto, more likely anyways. So this is why no matter what coin I hold, no matter how my portfolio is weighted, I always get fired up when I see Bitcoin doing well. And that monthly chart is just sex. That thing looks just gorgeous. I mean, look, like the tap of the breakout from last spring on the big Corona dump, just a nice little capitulation tag, and we're off. And it has not wasted any time. And after confirming the week, actually, we should pull up the weekly. Because there was a 6 signal actually last weekly close. See that week? Okay, look at that candle, how it closed just above the highs from a few weeks ago, like a month ago.
Yeah.
That was the signal. I mean, I saw that and I longed it. I don't think that I expected to see this candle the next week. I mean, I thought, oh, this is kind of bullish. I'll check it out. But like, it exploded this week. It went up. How much is it up this week? What's that candle like? 2K?
Oh, at least 10%.
So, I mean, if you're wondering, are we at the end of a move or at the beginning of a move? Who knows? But like, there is strength in this market, and you can see it by how many people it appears were waiting to buy, and they waited for that close last week. It looks like, and as soon as
boys.
Yeah, and as soon as it confirmed, boom, and we got a price alert right now. What do we got?
It's just Ethereum clearing the intraday range there.
Okay.
Yeah, Ethereum's moving. Got the 30-minute stop though.
Ethereum's moving along. Now, one thing we kind of skimmed over earlier, but didn't actually comment on, and I think some of the demand for Ethereum will come from the money that you can make providing liquidity to these hot Uniswap pairs. Right, so the way it works, and we can actually, we have a little quick Uniswap tutorial that I found on YouTube. I'll link it in the description after for anyone who's like, what the hell is this? How do I, what is it? You post just say 10 ETH and 10 ETH worth of tokens, and you can pool your own liquidity, and then you get a percentage of the fees collected. And we're talking about millions and millions of dollars of trade volume, all being paid out to anyone who wants to take some ETH, take some tokens, and go and stake them and post them. So how many big players, how many major, maybe even some centralized exchanges who are just like, screw this, like I want to tap into those fees. And, I'm
sure there's funds doing it.
Right? And so they're not just going to go buy 2 ETH so they can play with some shit coins like me or whatever, 5, 6 ETH. Like they're buying 1,000 ETH, 2,000 ETH. So this frenzy that maybe we're seeing trickle down in the trading pit, where it's a lot of more average, everyday type people, and we're all just out there having a good time. We're creating a situation where it becomes profitable again to go and buy ETH and hold on to it, and that's a big thing. That's a bit of a paradigm shift here within crypto, I think, as the rise of the DEX that was foretold years ago and is finally hitting the mainstream. And I absolutely think it's behind this rise in ETH. I think ETH probably was going up for a number of reasons, but the latest FOMO and volume on Uniswap now mixing with the rise in price of ETH is very exciting. And it's really like one use case. So like, you're looking at all the different dApps and possible things you can do with a decentralized network like Ethereum. Every time one use case comes along, the price just shoots up. Imagine if 5 use cases come along, 10 use cases come along. And with that, we maybe wrap up on the ETH dominance chart, something I'll be keeping a close eye on.
It's one of my favorite charts.
Yeah, I just actually only kind of pulled it up somewhat recently. I was like, oh, that's cool. And you can see, it looks a little bit bullish, right? Kind of looks like the ETHUSD chart, as you would expect. Kind of like the Bitcoin dominance chart looks like an inverse of Ethereum Bitcoin, because it's the the biggest sort of alt. You can also see this just looks a whole lot like the ETHUSD chart. So something to be watching right now. We are at 11.78% market dominance, and I'll be interested to see how this progresses. And what's really cool about this stuff is, even when it's not like a price chart that you can trade, it still seems to respect the TA, right? You get the trend lines, you get the support and resistance flips. Like, it's pretty fascinating stuff. So dominance chart, I'll be keeping an eye on it. And if you follow us on Twitter at Hxro Labs, we'll be updating this chart as we go, because I expect that ETH will be making a big push into the space. And a whole other discussion for another day is, are all of these ETH 2.0s, all these ETH challengers that we're faster, we're more scalable, are they getting left in the dust? Do they have a chance? Is that even going to happen in this cycle? Do we need 5-10 years? We'll see. I think there's room for more than one, but for now, ETH is the king of the non-BTCs, it seems. And I'm very excited to see how that evolves. So if you guys like what we put out today, and in general, give us a like, hit us up with a sub, put the bell on. In the next few weeks, we will likely be starting up some new segments as well to go along with our 3 days a week. So stay on your toes. Hit us up in the trading pit on Telegram. That's completely free. I believe it's listed on our Twitter, but if not, it's in the description for this video. And with that, we will sign off for the weekend. So Nick, great to have you back today. Let's
as always,
let's get you up here. Yeah. So really nice to have you back today. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on my Uniswap bags this weekend. I'm very, very touch and go with those guys. Have some fun with that shit, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Always play from a position of strength.